HHTV.
Great. Thank you, Risa. Well, good morning and welcome to Fireside Chat for Friday, May 28th. As always, we have a full agenda today, and I'll give you a quick rundown of some of the things we'll be covering. The Care Connector updates from Erica Campbell. Many of you have had a chance to meet Erica and have found her an incredibly valuable link to other resources that you might need, and we think this is terrific, and she'll talk a little bit about that. Jeff Townley will talk about some food service updates. Eli will give us an update on some of the campus improvements and some timelines. And Laura's going to talk about the brand updates. And here, what we're trying to communicate is how we're working with the marketplace at large to make sure that people understand Horizon House the way we want Horizon House understood. We have relied and will always rely on our residents to tell the story, and we want to go more broadly beyond our residents telling the story of Horizon House. We'll have some resident council updates from Peter, resident introductions from Valerie, and that's always great news. Seeing more people who want to be a part of Horizon House is a good thing. We've got some new hires and transfers that Brenda will talk about, and we've also got some policy update on our mandatory employee vaccination policy. And then I'll do a little wrap up at the end. So before I turn it over to Erica, I want to touch on a couple of things. One is we're almost live. What I mean is that we're really hoping that today is our last day of doing exclusively a fireside chat via video. There'll be some hybrid model. We'll do a little fits and starts, I'm sure, but next time we meet for Fireside Chat, we are really hoping that it's going to be an in-person meeting where we can be together and kind of get back to what we used to be doing. We'll still have a hybrid model, so there will still be some online version yet to be determined, but we're really going to do our best to get in the room and start to see each other and be in person, not just on video. So look forward to that. I want to remind everybody that the Department of Health, DOH, is our driver. You will periodically see information from various sources on what the CDC is saying, Center for Disease Control, about how we manage ourselves during this pandemic, this COVID time. And you'll hear stuff from the state. And you might wonder, well, why aren't we doing that? And, gee, how come we're so slow to the party? Well, the food chain, at the bottom of the food chain is the Department of Health. And we can't move on something until the Department of Health tells us that we can. We are in constant contact. So the minute there is any change from the Department of Health as to what we can do, then we work in our COVID task force to make sure that that is something that is available for us to do. So just keep in mind that the Department of Health is our driver, not some of these other bodies. Let's see, the COVID-19, the healthy paradox. I'm guessing that most of you have not had, certainly not the flu, because we haven't heard about the flu, and probably not any colds. And it's kind of ironic in that during this period of managing in COVID, most of us didn't get COVID, and we didn't get colds or flus. And there's kind of that weird paradox that what we were doing to help stay safe from COVID also kept us safe from getting colds and flu. And I don't think it's because, I'm not a medical expert, obviously, but I don't think it's necessarily because colds and flus went away. I think that our behaviors about washing our hands, wearing our mask, managing our social circles and distancing played a role in keeping us healthy. And while we're not going to necessarily do all that all the time in a new post-COVID world, hopefully a new post-COVID world, it is a reminder that those things make a difference in keeping us healthy. So some of these habits are probably good habits to continue for the duration, regardless of COVID. Let's see, a couple of other things I wanted to mention. We've had some residents who have expressed some concern over the Alexa devices. And I just want to kind of give some context there so that people don't have an unnecessary fear or concern. First of all, the reason that we offer this is so that it's been well documented that voice-activated communication works more for everybody, whether it's seniors or anybody else. And you're just simply going to see and hear more voice activated devices, whether that's turning on your TV or turning on something else in your house or asking the Alexa device for information. So I think that is a part of our future, whether you live in Horizon House or in your, wherever you might live. It's all voluntary. We're not trying to push it. We're not trying to say it's mandatory. We have curated a certain amount of information that is accessible via that device. And it is an opportunity for those who are interested to have that device to be able to get information that they might otherwise be looking up or finding in some other way. If it's not something you want and you have one, don't throw it in the garbage. These are expensive devices, and we would prefer that you give them back to us so that we can redeploy them to somebody who might be interested. There is the concern has been in part that they're listening to us and they're somehow reporting information. These are generic devices not tied to any individual, meaning the device does not know it is in, my office or your apartment. It doesn't know that. It's not capturing information except accept a command to then provide you information that's available. So it isn't capturing any information, and there isn't any nefarious intent here. We don't have any way to track anything, not interested in tracking anything. What we want to do is provide information that is accessible via voice activated commands to make some of the information easier for people to receive. Everyone at Horizon House receives and chooses to receive their information through the channels of communication that are most effective. For some people, that might be on paper. For some people, it's online. For some people, it's voice. And we want to make sure that we try to cover all of that. So those would be the kinds of things that you'll see in the future. And it's not unlike what you experience on your smart TV or on your phone. There is a certain amount of where technology is going that does raise some concerns about privacy and about what the device might know. And unless we let go of our phones and smart TVs, we're going to have to live with some of that. But it is certainly your choice. So if you have more questions about that, either you can talk to me or Brian Levitt about it. And Brian will give a little more clarification at an upcoming Residents Council meeting too, so that we can help restore some confidence in those that might be questioning the value of Alexa devices. The other thing, a couple things I wanted to mention, that on the June 1st at 4 p.m. next Tuesday, John Scholes, who is the CEO of the Downtown Seattle Association, is going to be doing a seminar, a town hall that has been arranged by Neil McReynolds to talk about what is going on in the city of Seattle. And I really want to thank Neil for kicking this off, because he and I recognize that downtown Seattle has everything to do with how well we do at Horizon House. People come here to be a part of downtown, and we've experienced a lot of degradation, a lot of homelessness, a lot of drug addiction and mental illness, and it creates for an unsafe environment. So Neil and I have been talking about it. We wanted to have John here to talk about his perspective from the Downtown Seattle Association. And then I will be crafting a letter with Neil's help and Karen Lane's help that will be signed off by myself, by Torsten Hurst at Skyline, and Travis at Mirabella, that says we want to know from our city council, what are you doing to help make Seattle, downtown Seattle, safer? And we need to put some pressure on our legislators and our councilmen so that we get some results, because it is very uncomfortable at times walking downtown and seeing the streets be littered with people who need and deserve better services than being just left to the city streets. So I invite you to participate in the webinar. There'll be information in the alert on that so that you can plug in at 4 p.m. next Tuesday. We'll have it on YouTube. We'll have it on HHTV. But it's a chance to plug into what's going on in downtown Seattle, and maybe you can also play a role in either letter writing or phone calling to our representatives to get people busy on improving Seattle. Okay, lastly, before I turn things over to Erica's, I want to mention that if you do have questions during the Q&A, you can type them into the chat function that's at the bottom of your screen to the right, or raise your hand in the video if you're participating here on Zoom. And if you're watching on YouTube or on HHTV 370, go ahead and email your questions either to Risa or to Lacey. You see the address right there, Risa R at horizonhouse.org or Lacey K at horizonhouse.org, so that we can capture your questions and answer them when we get to the end. So now I'm going to pass it off to Erica, and then I will circle back around to you with some concluding remarks and some other bright spots. Erica?
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. And I am looking forward to speaking to you about a couple of topics. Today, I wanted to first point out that we're conducting our annual independent apartment safety checks, and that is an annual opportunity for Horizon House to just make sure that the apartments are safe and free of any kind of hazard. So be prepared for a call from me or from Barbara or Pam in the Environmental Services Department, and we will be making a joint walkthrough, coordinating with you to do that. So that's underway. And the second part is I wanted to talk about celebrating Seattle Neighbor Day. Seattle Neighbor Day was brought to us from AgeWise King County. It was a King County newsletter that basically was a push for Seattle to promote Neighbor Day, getting to know your neighbor. And there's some lovely pictures right here. I wanted to give a little context for how this day came about. It's a combination between our friend-to-friend group, our neighborhoods committee, and our wellness committee. So it was spearheaded by Nancy McReynolds, Ginny Stimson, and Sue Shaw. And I really want to give a shout out to Sue Shaw because she was the one that really coordinated all of our efforts and got this together. It was a very exciting time. We had about 100 participants show up for this wonderful day with the string-alongs. They were wonderful. And we had lemonade, popcorn, and actually sun on the patio. So we're hoping to turn this into an annual event, and we look forward to scheduling this for next year. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Townley for dining services.
Thanks, Erica. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great Friday today. Hopefully we can get back to some nice weather soon. Just wanted to start out, go to the next slide, talk about some of our events we did this past month. We had Cinco de Mayo, where we did our walkthrough barbecue for lunchtime, and then did a happy hour out on the patio after lunch. And that was a lot of fun. Had some chips and guacamole, margaritas and such. We had Mother's Day on the 9th. You can see Oliver's beautiful display as always outside the host stand there. The food was lovely. We had great decor in the dining room, so that was a wonderful day as well. But what I wanted to really touch on was the online reservations. I did talk about this last month, but just wanted to hit on it some more. It's been going very well. I wanted to hit a couple things. You know, it's on HH Connect. One thing we haven't really talked about a lot, but there are no limits on reservations anymore. So when we first reopened the dining room, we were asking everybody to try to come just once a week so we could have a chance for everybody to dine. We're kind of past that now. Now that you can make reservations yourself online, you know, feel free to come whenever you want. And reminder, we are open for brunch, lunch, and dinner. One thing about brunch I'll touch on is we are working on a new brunch menu. So look for probably next week or maybe the week after, we'll be launching a new menu that's geared more towards brunch items instead of just doing the lunch and breakfast items that we've been doing, getting us through the pandemic. Another thing about the reservations and Open Table that honestly we didn't realize was going to happen and has been, you know, really helpful for us is the ability for you to make reviews. When you do make your reservation online, we ask that you get your email in there, and then that way you'll get a confirmation first on your reservation. And second, after you dined in the dining room, you'll get an email asking you to write a review. and we've had several reviews, and they're very helpful. You know, we always are looking for ways to improve how we're doing and everything like that. And it's also nice to hear some of the great feedback that we've been getting. So I definitely encourage everyone that does dine with us, if you get this email, to please give a review for us so we can know how we're doing and work to improve. Moving on, kind of in line with that, you know, Morrison Management Team, we're here to help. So please contact us with any issues. And that's with, you know, food issues, your order issues. Shoot, even if there's any possible foodborne illnesses, we definitely want to hear about that. And in terms of that, you know, always definitely contact us. But if you do feel like you're in need of medical attention, we suggest you contact the Horizon House medical staff or your provider. But we definitely want to know if something like that's happening, so we can investigate on our end. And if it is something that comes from us, then we can, you know, correct whatever action happened there. But that's definitely a important thing to us, make sure that the food is safe and everything like that. Also, let us know if there's any issues with your service while you're in the dining room or with the deliveries. We've hired a lot of new staff recently, and everybody's doing just a great job. So we definitely want to hear, you know, if the job wasn't done to your satisfaction, or also if, you know, if you do have compliments for staff, we love hearing that too. We like to forward that on to the staff so they know that their good work is being noticed for sure. And then finally, for the next slide there, just want to talk about a couple upcoming events we'll be doing. Memorial Day is right around the corner this coming Monday. We will be doing kind of a large 12 to 4 buffet / barbecue and happy hour down on the west wing. So the upper level will have a happy hour going on there, a little charcuterie board and beverages. And then down on the lower part, we'll have a all-you-can-eat buffet. We got some good food options going on there. We just, I posted a few of the menus around yesterday. You'll see it in the menu packet that we'll get out today, and hopefully on the screens. I know Lacey's working on that for us as well. So you know, keep your eyes peeled for that. And Monday, Memorial Day, should be a great day, so we can honor those men and women that serve for us. Also, Father's Day is coming up in June. We'll be doing a brunch like we did on Mother's Day from 11 to 3, and no dinner service that night. So I think that's about all I got, and would like to turn it over to Eli now for some campus improvement updates.
Jeff, this is Peter. Yep. Here's a chat question. Can I read it to you? It's from Marie Godston, who wants to know whether brunch will be every day.
No, brunch will be just on Saturdays and Sundays, and then Monday through Friday we'll still be just doing the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Obviously, just lunch and dinner in the dining room at this point. So, all right. Yes. All right. Well, I'll hand that over to Eli, and everybody have a great afternoon.
Hello. Good morning. This is Eli Lemansky, and to announce some upcoming campus improvements, 3 major projects this year. We have the Sky Lounge reclad, Anderson Hall refresh, and corridor refresh of the Central and East Towers. So beginning with the Sky Lounge reclad project, this project addresses the weatherproofing deficiencies at the exterior walls of the Sky Lounge, as well as the East Towers elevator structures. The Sky Lounge will be taken offline for a couple of months, which will begin as early as July, but this is all pending the city's approval of the sidewalk permits. Our contractor submitted this permit back in October, and in a perfect world, the city would have had approved it within 3 weeks, but we're still waiting. And that's why anybody who remembers last Fireside Chat, it's now been delayed an extra month because we have not had that permit approved yet. As far as the Anderson Hall refresh project, Methuen is currently designing new interior finishes for the Anderson Hall refresh project. Yeah. So Methuen is currently designing new interior finishes, lighting, audiovisual, and acoustics for Anderson Hall. They are working with Event Support Committee to ensure the space is optimized and that all our functional needs are satisfied. Once Methuen finishes the design, Anderson Construction will be able to develop their construction schedule, which will give us an accurate idea for how long Anderson Hall will be offline for the construction phase. In general, though, we plan to take Anderson Hall offline and begin the construction phase as the reclad project finishes and after the Sky Lounge is back online. So hopefully this will be around November. The next project, corridor refresh of the Central and East Towers. The project is expected to be well underway this year. In addition to new paint and carpet, a major scope of the project will be to provide even lighting down the hallways, which will eliminate that shadowing. Laundry rooms and trash rooms will also be refreshed. As always, users of those spaces will be given ample notice. Work will begin on the fifth floor laundry room in June, and the remaining laundry rooms are expected to be completed before the end of the year. Hallway work is expected to begin before the end of the year, pending permit approval for the lighting work I mentioned. This will be a disruptive project to residents. Hallway work will, it'll be disruptive to residents of the floors that are currently under construction and residents of those adjacent floors. So it'll involve noise and the presence of many contractors in the hallways that are there to ensure dust is controlled and that the areas under construction are tidy and safe for our residents. We'll be sure to give residents at least 4 weeks notice before the disruption begins on their floor or adjacent floors. Throughout the project, residents of floors under renovation, as well as residents of adjacent floors, will be given periodic updates about progress and noise expectations. So originally, we expected to perform work inside each central tower apartment. This would have been very disruptive to each of those residents. We have explored a couple engineer solutions, and no longer do any of these solutions need to be performed in tandem with the hallway refresh. So we continue to explore improvements to the radiant heating, but we need to move forward with the refresh of the hallways. And so that's what we're doing this year. You will also see in an upcoming alerts that Methuen Architects will conduct a presentation live in Anderson Hall for the purpose of introducing who they are and how they are developing a holistic understanding of our campus and culture that will inform some exciting design for our community. The presentation is expected to be scheduled for late June, early July timeframe. So look for that. That's it for me. Next up is Laura Tufts.
Thank you, Eli. I know your team and you work really hard to make all of our spaces beautiful. So thanks for all that you do. I am joining today to share a few updates on our brand elements. When I'm not busy communicating about COVID, the team and I are working on refreshing some of our brand elements. And Mike spoke earlier about the need and desire to really tell our story externally. And in order to best do that, we analyzed what our current brand elements were, and we determined that we really needed to update some of our photography. I needed not only photos of people in masks, but I needed updated photography of both of our spaces and our residents. We're using video more regularly, and that was really a necessary thing this last year in order to share information about the apartments that we have to sell. So in addition to renovating them, we then stage them and we video them, and then we are able to send those out to those future residents that are waiting on the list so that we can then sell some more of those spaces and move more residents in. We're updating our print materials, and then we're in the process as well as updating all of our advertisements and our public website. The public website, we're updating and refreshing all of the photography, all of the navigation, and all of the content. So that's a 3-month-long project that will take some time to deliver on, but we're about halfway through the process, and that is moving along really well. For those of you that have participated in some of our photo sessions, we will give you a heads up if we're hoping to use some of your photos in some of those more public spaces. In addition to that, we're really focusing on telling our story externally through social media. I know a lot of our residents are on social media channels, but in addition to that, our future residents, all of your families, many of your grandchildren, and a lot of your significant others are on social media, as well as our staff. So it's a great way for us to engage all of our communities and all of our audiences. So if you haven't had a chance to take a peek at what we're doing in those spaces, please make sure you do. We've been able all year to share information about COVID, about our barbecues, about what life is like here at Horizon House, and showcase a lot of our residents as well as our staff and how we've managed through this past year, and really tell that story about what makes us special and unique. We are also focusing on some public relations efforts, so earned media. I know you've seen a few of those pieces. We have shared those on our HH Connect. If you haven't seen them, you can link to a few of the stories that we've been telling in that way. And then this fall, we're going to turn our attention to a print and digital advertising campaign. So some more traditional advertising now that things are opening back up and our website will be redone. It'll be the right time to refresh those ads and then start sharing our story more formally that way. We are also, to Mike's point, that all of our residents are our best referral source. We are creating a brand ambassador program so that we can work with residents that really want to both refer people to us, but perhaps connect with and support some of that process for residents that are on the wait list and or are coming to see us for the first time. We have residents in the past that have been willing to meet with those potential residents or future residents and spend a little time with them so that they get not only our sales teams and marketing teams perspective on what makes us great, but they also get to hear from our residents as well. What does this do again, and why are we doing this? It supports really sharing what makes us special, and I know we all call it our secret sauce, and it's a great way for us to set ourselves apart from those that might be looking at some of the similar spaces in the downtown, or that may be on more than one waiting list, and we want them to wait until they can get into Horizon House and be part of our community. It really supports our reputation, and it helps increase our brand awareness. Again, as we see more senior living style apartments join us in the downtown area, we want to make sure that we are a thought leader in our space and that we're sharing, again, what makes us unique and special and what sets us apart from the others. So with that, I will turn things over to Peter Shapiro, our resident council president. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. That was a great report. I really appreciate all that information. And maybe I'll be one of your ambassadors when I retire. I want to key off a couple things that Mike said as I go through my prepared remarks. The first was Mike mentioned there was no flu season. There was no regular flu season this year. And, tied it into the good possibility that the habits that we have, the hygiene habits that we needed to employ for COVID made that difference. And I remember very well, 2019 was my first year on the council, and there were 3 flu shutdowns, meetings canceled, resident council meetings canceled, people quarantined in their apartments. So maybe that's something we can avoid in the future. I hope so. Well, election season is upon us. Now, you might think that, what's going on here? People are still talking about the 2020 elections, matter of fact. But yes, this is an important off-year election, extremely important in Seattle because we'll be electing a new mayor and 2 new at-large council members. And picking up on the other thing that Mike said about the importance of our involvement with our representatives, with our elected officials, in terms of improving the environment around us, helping the people who need help, and making sure that there's the best opportunity for downtown to become a vibrant and a wonderful place again as it was before. It really will be depending in large part on 3 people, or possibly 3 brand new people in those positions I just mentioned, as well as the continuing council members. And this year, we follow the tradition, the wonderful tradition of the Election Forums Committee, chaired by Neil McReynolds, with a wonderful group of people who have many years of experience doing election forums, and they've always been a #1 first class. For those of you who are relatively new, candidates recognize how important Horizon House is to their campaigns. They are here, if at all possible, they are here to participate in the forums. This year, the primaries in August, the forums will be in July. Chances are very strong, and the arrangements are being made for them to be in a webinar format rather than live in Anderson Hall, but that's the current plan. There are a total of 44 candidates being invited to the 3 forums in July. Those forums are the first 3 Monday nights. Make a note of it. Evening forums, the first 3 Mondays in July. So there's a pretty good chance that at least one of these major offices, if not more, will be filled by someone you've never seen before. There are a lot of newcomers in this candidate list, and I'm not making any predictions, but this is a good opportunity. It will be a good opportunity in July for you to get perhaps a first look and a first listen to the new mayor, or one of the new, or both of the new council members. So pay attention to that. I appreciate that. And election season will be internal. Each year, we have a turnover in the Residence Council. This is my 3rd year, and I'll be finishing my term. New members of the council. Typically, and probably this year, 5 of us will be going off, maybe another one as well. And what we do is we accept nominations from all the residents to suggest people they think would be good people to carry on the wonderful tradition we have of a resident-driven community. And people can nominate themselves. There's no shame in doing that. We'd love that, because it really means that you are committed to service if you should be selected. So the process will kick off later in June, toward the end of June. Perhaps we'll be able to make announcements at the Fireside Chat. That would be my plan. I have asked Dick Clark to chair the committee. Thank you, Dick, again, for your service. I know you're going to do a great job. Dick has arranged a committee of 4 other people, total of 5, including himself. I appreciate their service and look forward to working with them as an occasional consultant who can maybe answer some questions, but not as a member of the committee. Now, the way our founders along the line in creating our bylaws did things, they did things that are very smart. One of them was keeping the terms to 3 years, so that when someone comes in, they know that it's not a huge burden that'll go on forever and ever, especially since there's a term limit, but there's also a rule against anybody serving more than 1 term. The other wonderful thing that the bylaw writers did was require all but one of the committee members to be people who are not on the council. And that's the case now. Dick will be Clark as the chair will be the only person who is currently sitting on the council. And the other 4 are people who are not. And that is designed, we think, to bring in fresh ideas all the time. It's not a question of the old guard renewing and turning it over to a hand-picked new guard. It's wide open, and we always have been having great successions in our leadership as a result of that. So stay tuned for more information about that. You'll have an opportunity to submit nominations. There'll be what we've done in the past is deposited into a lockbox, so you're not what you're presenting as a nomination is not generally public, and it's worked out very well. The decisions are made in October. The slate of nominees, 5 or 6, is presented in October at the October public meeting, the regular council meeting, and the decision is made probably with a secret ballot as we did last year, even if it's just the slate of the people being considered. And so look for further opportunities to participate in this. Appreciate that. I'll confirm what Mike said. I'm delighted that Brian Levitt will be one of the members of the team, the panel, at the June resident council meeting and be there to answer the questions. We've received many questions. Mike touched on some of them in his comments, and Brian will be answering those questions about how Alexa works, how it functions, what it does, what it doesn't do, and so on. I think that'll be very important, and I know it's a topic that's of considerable importance to a lot of the residents. Finally, good news. There'll be a picnic this year for Ruth Ella and her committee. It worked so hard last year. Is it on? Is it off? Is it on? Is it off? Well, it is on for the last Wednesday in July. And thank you, Ruth. She couldn't be here, so I'm not going to say too much about it. I don't want to steal her surprises, but I'll give you one broad hint. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. With that, I think I've said what I needed to say, and I've certainly talked long enough. So I'll turn it over now to Valerie, who's going to introduce our new residents and welcome new residents.
Good morning. Thank you, Peter. It is my pleasure to welcome quite a few new residents to the Horizon House community. First up, Jim and Barbara Spraker. Jim was born in Los Angeles, California. He earned a BA in History, Master of Divinity in Theology, and Master of Theology in Pastoral Care. Jim is a minister and worked as a hospital chaplain. He belongs to the Pacific Northwest Conference of UCC and enjoys reading, sports, travel, and woodworking. A fun fact that Jim shared with me the first time we met was he used to work here in the marketing department at Horizon House in the early 80s. Barb was born in Ava, Missouri. She earned her undergrad BA at Central College and her MBA in Business Administration from City University of Seattle. Barbara enjoyed a career as an educator and social worker and loves reading, travel, and sewing. She characterizes her life as a learning adventure and is excited to begin her next chapter at Horizon House. Welcome, Jim and Barb. Barbara Knight. Barbara was born and raised in Seattle. She received her BA and MA from the University of Washington and MS from Golden Gate University. Barbara worked as a CPA for the League of Women Voters and belongs to the Contemporary Quilt Art Association. She is an avid pickleball player and is interested in economics and finance. Welcome to Horizon House, Barbara. Faith Bauer. Faith was born in Kansas City, Missouri, where she lived her entire life until recently moving to Seattle to be near her daughter. Faith worked as an administrative assistant and enjoys sewing and art. Welcome to Horizon House, Faith. Jim Gale and Virginia McDermott. Jim was born in Boston, Massachusetts. He earned his AB from Harvard, MD from Columbia, and MS from the University of Washington. Jim worked in the UW Department of Epidemiology and as a county health officer. He is a member of the ACLU and belongs to St. Mark's Cathedral congregation. Jim enjoys sailing, sports, hiking, and reading. Virginia was born in Cleveland, Ohio. She earned a BA in literature and worked as a high school teacher, a bed and breakfast owner, and for Seattle Solid Waste. Virginia is also a member of St. Mark's Cathedral congregation and enjoys reading, event planning, remodeling, politics, and knitting. Welcome to Horizon House, Jim and Virginia. And Jane Van Doren. Jane was born in Santa Monica, California, and has also lived in China. She attended Cal State Fullerton, where she studied economics and political history and worked as chief financial officer at Charlie's Produce for 27 years. Jane is an avid traveler, and you should not expect to see her much as travel restrictions lift. Fun fact for Jane, she joins her sisters Judy Klein and Jennifer Stucker here at Horizon House, who are both current residents. Welcome to Horizon House, Jane. And next up, I'll hand it over to Brenda for new hires and transfers.
Thank you, Valerie, and welcome to all the new residents here at Horizon House. We're also really excited to introduce to you a handful of new hires who recently joined us. We have Truck, who's joined us as a cook in dining services, and Edwin, who's joined us as an engineer in our facilities department. We've also had Salamawit join us as an elder care assistant in assisted living, and Karen join us as a server in dining services. In addition to the new hires, we are going to begin introducing some of the, or announcing some of the new transfers or promotions at Horizon House. There's a lot of great activity that happens within our staffing, where we do see that employees are able to grow and develop. And so we think that this is a new area for us to be able to share with the community at large. So recently we had Virginia be promoted to our new Assistant Director of Resident Care. Virginia worked with us on call as an LPN for about 5 years, and she recently became an RN. And so we're really excited to join her and welcome her in the Assisted Living Department in this new position. And that wraps it up for new staff as well as promotions, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mike. Oh, actually, I take that back. I do have an exciting update related to the COVID-19 vaccines. So I know that this has been a work in progress as we've been sharing through the COVID updates. Effective this week on May 25th, we did have a policy go into effect. We were able to reach an agreement with our union. And so all employees are now aware of the new requirement for the vaccines. We will be providing our employees with ample time to work through this requirement. So the policy deadline, meaning the deadline for employees to comply with the requirements, is September 30th. Between these 2 dates, we have established a number of milestones to ensure that employees are tracking towards compliance. Because some of the vaccines, 2 of them do require a time period between the time that they can receive the second vaccine. We wanted to ensure that there's time for that we're able to assist employees with accessing and scheduling appointments to obtain the vaccine. We also wanted to ensure that we have ample time to continue to provide opportunities to educate our staff if in fact there are any questions regarding the vaccinations, allergies, and so we're providing that information to our employees as well. As of this week, we've had 76% of our employees fully vaccinated. This number may fluctuate from time to time as we have employees join our organization and we have other employees leave. And in addition to that 76%, we currently have 18 employees that have committed to receive the vaccine. So they're either scheduled to obtain that first dose, or they've already obtained the first dose and are scheduled to obtain the second dose. And so once these 18 employees who are in the pipeline complete that series, we expect to be at 83% fully vaccinated. Now, these numbers are pre-policy, meaning that these are the numbers of employees that have been vaccinated or in the pipeline even before we rolled out the new policy that went into effect this week. So we feel that we're making good traction in being able to reach our goal to ensure that we continue to make effort in protecting the community. I'll go ahead and officially this time turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Brenda. And just with respect to the vaccine policy, you know, we are an outlier in our mandatory policy. This is not a common policy among our peers here locally, and nationally, it's even less so. A number of communities, for whatever reason, but one of them is they do not believe they really have the legal backing to have a mandatory policy. And so they have chosen to lay low on that and do it on a vaccinate on a case-by-case basis. So we're taking a more aggressive approach here, and Brenda has led that charge. I think we've gotten good follow through from our staff and believe that this will work well for everybody. But just so you know, this is something we're taking a much more aggressive stance on than our peers are. I also want to mention something that Eli brought up in the Methuen presentation. So Methuen will be here, the date not yet set, but middle, latter part of June, to kind of give people an overview of how they are looking at our campus, as Eli said. It won't be the specifics of ideas for our master planning. That'll be something that will happen closer to the fall when we begin to engage residents in the thoughts and ideas and get input. This is more to acclimate people to Methuen and to also understand, how does Methuen look at design in the context of senior living? They have some very definitive ideas, and they've got, some very innovative ideas that I think will be appealing. And then you'll get a flavor of why we feel so confident that Methuen is the right people to be designing for us. Then in the fall, we will be introducing more specific design elements for you to chime in on and give us your thoughts and comments. One other thing I wanted to mention when we were talking about the Alexa and whatever is just the nature of complicated devices. I've had a number of residents that come to me. They also come to Eli and to Sean about these complicated appliances. Why can't we just get a washer and dryer with an on-off button and a timer switch like my mom had, back in 1960? She had a hot point. It had 3 buttons or dials on it, and it was a no-brainer. Well, we would love to do that. Here's the problem. They don't make simple appliances anymore. So in those laundry rooms, you find new equipment when we've had to replace something that is much more complicated than we really want to be presenting for you, but we don't really have choices. We will really try to do our best to offer some truncated how-to so that you are able to get done what you want to do. But bear with us on this. This is one of the challenges that technology pulls us into, that some of us go kicking and screaming. I have this with respect to devices in my house, in my car, and I can't fight the tape on that. It is what it is. But we have to learn how to use them in ways that will allow us to get what we want done, and we can help you in that with some of our explanations. So we'll try to do our best with that. Let's see, some other announcements I wanted to bring up. We have our annual resident survey coming up. This is going to be a phone or email survey. The survey company no longer does one in print. Not uncommon anymore. People doing more things online. So if you don't have a email address, we'll do it by phone. It will start the week of June 1. It's due back on June 14th, and you'll be getting memos in your cubbies and in the alert for more details. And we really do look at this. You may not feel that maybe we've made enough progress in any particular area on an issue you raised last year or the year before. We hope we do, but maybe you don't feel that way. But nonetheless, your points of view do drive our priorities, and we try to honor those, keeping in mind that there are many people here who have, for everyone who has one opinion, there's somebody who has a counter opinion. But we do take that in, and we do care about it. It's not something that goes in the wastebasket. We talk it through, we figure out where we can make improvements, and hopefully the majority of the things that you're asking about are things that you see that we're addressing, if not in its entirety to what you would like, enough to recognize that we're responding to what you care about. Let's see. Oh, the package room. Okay, that's another good, fun thing. As you all know, during COVID, and even before COVID, packaging has become a bigger deal. We all rely on deliveries from Amazon. Now it's both food and packages. We're not set up well for dealing with this. We will be incorporating better design features in the future to manage packaging because it's going to be a bigger and bigger deal. But in the meantime, we're trying to make it be a little bit more smooth. And the way we can do that, and I should say this will be followed up in the alert and other notices so that you don't have to memorize what's on the screen here. But do keep in mind a couple of things. Right now, our fabulous letter carrier, Jan, retired. And so we have temporary people who come in, and they don't have quite that same consistent schedule that Jan had. Jan was like clockwork. The people who are pinch hitting until they get a permanent hire on June 5th is, interim folks that don't necessarily have the same schedule. So you may not have the mail coming exactly like it did when Jan was doing it. When a package shows up for you, reception will call you with a package and let you know that it is in the package room, and they'll call you between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. to let you know to come down and take a look. You may get a notice on your phone from Amazon or whoever the delivery service is that you, quote, have a package. But that doesn't mean that the package is in a place where you can pick it up yet. It means that it has arrived to Horizon House as a location, but we have yet to put it in the package room. So wait for that call from reception before coming down to look for the package. And we don't want you to go down to the loading dock. The loading dock has got all sorts of stuff that's coming in and going out. It's not a safe area. And more often than not, your package is not going to be in an organized way down there. So try to avoid going there and wait for reception to give you a call that you have something that's arrived. And then when you go into the package room, because you've been called to and alerted that there's a package, you got to kind of look high and low. You got to check everything, the bins, the fridge, everywhere to see if your package has been delivered. And then, of course, if something is not there that you expect, then you touch base with the front desk and they will help figure out how to round it up. Now, the capacity is increased to 2, so you don't have to wait for one person to come out. You can be 2 in that room, and that hopefully speeds things along a little bit. And Erica and Sakiko are your go-to people to talk about packaging. We'll have more information in the HH Connect and on the alert on the packages, but just heads up here and follow those notices for more details. The grocery van is slated for a mid-June startup as soon as Mai finishes up some of her duties in substitution work down for a member of our loading dock team, or a garage team that is out on leave. So we'll get that going and back to the grocery store. As you know, we do an annual shredding event. I find stuff like this really helpful because we accumulate a bunch of junk, and who wants to go try to find a place to send it? We usually do it after tax season. This year's tax season was later, but on June 8th, we're going to have our shredder show up, and they'll be here for about a month, and we'll give specific locations where the bins are. This is where you capture all that stuff you've been collecting for the last year or previous years and organize it in a box and bring it down to the bin, and we'll get it shredded and it'll be out of your way. Let's see. And also, if you have topics and things that you want covered and dealt with, and Fireside Chat is the right place for it, please follow up with Laura Tufts, and she will make sure that that information gets into Fireside Chat or in some other helpful communication. And now for some bright spots. Mother's Day was a pretty good bright spot. We had a lot of participating mothers, and we had a great display by our food service team. I mean, what a creative group. I love to see it, and I hope it is truly a bright spot. And of course, we had Ib Rosen, who shared his gift of Sweet Tooth with everybody by giving ice cream bars to all residents, and what a nice gesture. And I hope you had a chance to thank Ib. He's a great guy, and that was a really nice gesture. Our next Fireside Chat will be on June 25, and like I said earlier, I really hope it's in person, where we're starting to have a little bit more interactivity. We'll cross our fingers on that, but that is our goal. And now I want to check and see if there are any questions that have been typed into chat, or anyone raised their hand on video, or anything to Risa or to Lacey. And I don't see anything, but that doesn't mean there isn't anything. So for Risa or Devin, can you tell if we have questions that I can answer or direct for answer?
I do have one question. It's for Eli. It says the start of the laundry rooms update starting on the 5th floor. What about the 4th floor?
We are not forgetting about the 4th floor. So whoever may have asked that question, I encourage you to compare the 4th floor with the 5th floor. We chose the 5th floor to start first because we feel that the difference between existing and new will be the most compelling. But yes, the 4th floor we will finish in addition to the other 13 floors before the end of the year is the plan.
Thank you, Eli.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mike, this is Peter. Can I pop back in for a second?
Yeah.
It's to say thank you. We don't say that often enough to our great CEO. And there's a particular reason right now. I think it's important for people to recognize, you talked about the uniqueness of, and basically kind of advanced approach that Horizon House has taken to the vaccine issue with staff. That was in direct response to concerns raised by the residents. And people should be aware that you and management was responsive to those concerns. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You bet, Peter.
Mike, I don't have any other questions. Lacey, I don't know if you've received any.
Not that I can tell.
I see one thing down here in chat. Is that something that is a question, or is that?
I believe we already addressed that.
Okay. Yep, it looks like we did. All right, then. We have wrapped up pretty much right on time. So thank you all. And again, let's all look forward to in-person meeting next month and get back to some of the interpersonal dynamics that make being in Horizon House a lot more fun. So we'll see you soon. Thank you for all those who are participating and help share information, and to all of you who joined us on this video and on HH370 and YouTube. Thanks so much.